And joining us now, NBC News senior correspondent Tom Brokaw, who hails from Yankton, South Dakota, and has a lifelong deep knowledge of this issue as it affects Native Americans. Tom, it's great to see you. Talk to me about Mount Rushmore and how it is viewed very differently, as Cal just reports, by the indigenous peoples.
I've lived with it my entire life, really. My family was on an army base not too far away from there during World War II. And we would go and have picnics at the base of Mount Rushmore when there was no infrastructure whatsoever. But it is very important for everyone to understand the role of the Lakota and Dakota people and their legitimate claim on the Black Hills. In 1860, they were granted the Black Hills. And then Custer, as was his wont, came riding into the Black Hills, set off a gold rush, and then they broke the treaty. No question about that. And in 1980, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that it was a violation of the treaty and granted the tribes an enormous amount of money, but it was not enough. That was not the money that they were interested in. There is a fund now that's over $1 billion because the tribes don't want to go into that money. They want their land back. It's not likely to happen, obviously, but I think it's an important part of our culture and our history that they are there and reminding everyone this was their land at the beginning.
Let's talk about Crazy Horse and the memorial that is there and the importance of that figure to the Lakota and Dakota.
Well, it was called Pahasapa, the Black Hills, very rich part of the world, a lot of wildlife, beautiful conifers that exist there as well. I grew up effectively in one form or another in the Black Hills as a Boy Scout, camping across it, living there during World War II, going back very often in the course of my life. I've never failed to be thrilled and moved by the importance of the Black Hills to the Native culture, but also to the people who came later to South Dakota. And then you have to remember, that's Crazy Horse. This is a private enterprise created so that they could pay tribute to the great warrior chiefs of the Lakota tribe. That's not too far away. That's all private money. Korczak Zukowski did that. He was a Polish sculptor. His family now runs it as a commercial enterprise. And it's very important for us not to overlook that, because those people whose land we effectively invaded made a great, strong warrior stand to retain it. He was killed by an American soldier, and he's been buried on the prairie by his people, and no one knows where. So it's one of the great American historic stories that we should be aware of.
I also want to ask you, Tom, about a story that is breaking today, and we're both football fans. We've both attended our Washington football games plenty of times. There is a new statement today. For the first time, the owner of the Washington Redskins is saying that there is a team review of the name because now FedEx, which is the naming corporation of FedEx Field, where they play, has come out with a statement asking them to change the name, something that, the owner has said would never happen. But now they are reviewing it for the first time. How important do you think it is in the light of the national reckoning over a lot of these things?
I think it's very important, Andrea. I felt for a long time that they couldn't exist as the Redskins forever. Look, I played on a high school team in South Dakota in which we were named after Indians. And finally, the community said, look, this is not appropriate. So they changed the name and changed the logos because it was, frankly, a kind of insult to the Native tribes in our area about how they were referred to for a bunch of white kids running up and down the basketball court or up and down the football fields. There are lots of ways that you can reconfigure the Redskins, the football team, and pay homage to what their heritage is as a football team, but also to the people who were here long before we were, and we have to keep that in mind. Athletics, by the way, on the reservations themselves in the states like Montana, where I am now, and South Dakota, all these areas, athletics on the reservation are hugely important. The kids are extremely good athletes for the most part, and we ought to honor that as well and find a way to pull them into the great American culture of sports, spectatorship, and fans.
Well, as always, Tom, it's great to see you. Our thanks to your producer, Claire Fry, for getting us your hit today from Montana. We really appreciate you. A happy holiday to you and your family.
All right,
Thanks
Andrew, I want to
again.
leave one course. When I would go there when I was just a child, I was like 4 years old. I had a really wonderful grandmother, and we had this little camping out that we do, and then she'd go back to the house, get a fistful of Kleenex. I'd say, "Why, Grandma?" She said, "Well, Lincoln may have a cold, Tom. We have to take care of him." So, it's been a part of my life forever.
I know it has. Thanks for that, as always.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.